Now it also makes me think you were lying to me at rehearsal.
This was my way of telling you. So.
Freaking knew it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Call Time a Theater Pod, where every role in theater matters. This is the space where we can talk about it all. We can laugh, learn, and sometimes call out the chaos. So sign in on the sheet, cause it's call time. My name is Marisa Helene Mast, and I am your hostess with the mostess. And with me today is someone who, when we met, I'm pretty sure that the universe was like, okay, who left the latch on the gate open again? All right, fine. And that person, of course, is Sean Patrick. Hey, hi. What's up?
What's up? How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Doing pretty good, actually.
Yeah?
Getting over a cold, but first day I'm feeling great. And this, I get to come here and do this, which may not be the greatest idea, but here I am anyway, so it's fine.
Thus our friendship. Love that for us. Glad to have you here. Glad you're feeling better. And now that you are feeling better, let's take a moment and see what's coming up on today's show, shall we?
Every single show that goes on in your theater, whether you like it or not, you have to be behind. It's like, oh my god, Mountain Dew! I see what they did there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the littlest, stupidest things.
You know, again, there are the theater snobs and there are the clowns.
And there's
Where do you fall? And then there's me. But wasn't that great?
That was great.
Honestly, peak performance on both of our parts.
Yep, it's wonderful.
Amazing. So, Sean, I got a question for you. It is, within my heart of hearts that I believe that there is good theater cringe and bad theater cringe. And I would very much love to know what you would put in those categories.
Oh boy. So, I thought about this a little bit. So, good theater cringe to me, and this is going to sound so dumb, is like theater magic. It's that moment in a rehearsal process, usually towards opening, where everything comes together. Like, you'll have like days where like Act 1's great, or Act 2's great, or like certain performances are really good, or the pit sounds great, but the singers are a little... But there's that one rehearsal where everything meshes before opening, and it's just like awesome. But trying to explain that to somebody outside the theater, they're like, oh, okay, like, isn't that just like the process? And you're like, no, but you don't understand. It's like months of prep for that one moment to know that you're ready. So I think that's good cringe. Bad cringe, and I've been on stage when this has happened, and I've seen it happen, and it's even like in my heart of hearts, I'm like, oh, please stop. When somebody thinks they're funny or tries to be funny on stage in a part, whether it's a comedic role or not, if they don't have comedic timing, it just dies. And it is like the worst. It's worse than seeing a stand-up comedian fail, because that's their job, and maybe they're just testing something out. You've had practice time and you're still not getting it, and I don't know what else to tell you at that point. So to me, that's some bad theater cringe.
I would have to agree, and now it also makes me think you were lying to me at rehearsal.
This was my way of telling you. So.
Freaking knew it. Ugh, I knew it. But you know what? Good examples of theater cringe either way. So our topic today is one that you and I were very passionate about in general. And, we're talking like... I don't even know how we really categorize this. We're like the lesser known shows that deserve more time and theater seasons and just the overall process that comes with that. So to start us off, I went to good old MTI.com.
Give it to me. Let's go.
And I went to the seeing like where the shows are, what shows are going up in your area. And I did a couple different radiuses, but they all kind of were saying the same. And so I pulled up shows that are happening in current theater seasons in our area, okay, or within the realm of our areas, all right? And there were some that I expected. And then there were some that I wasn't expecting, and I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. I'm going to build up because tension. Starting off low, we have only 3 productions of Rent this year.
Surprising.
Surprising. 5 productions of Les Mis.
Okay.
6 productions of Seussical. 7 of Into the Woods. 7 of Legally Blonde. 4 of Mamma Mia. And 9 of Descendants. I would like you to guess what show is at the very top of this list and how many.
I mean, clearly it's Hello Dolly, right?
No, actually.
Okay, no, I have no idea.
At the very top of the list of at least what I looked up, we have Shrek coming in.
Oh, okay.
Coming in at 25.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of Shrek.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Shrek. I mean, listen, in one summer, I once auditioned for 6 productions of Shrek. I didn't book any
Clearly
of them.
clearly got every single role, so you had your choice of theater.
Oh yeah, I mean, I made it to final callbacks for 3, but
Okay.
This isn't about me though. This is about everybody else. I'm still not over it, but I was like 25 productions of Shrek. Jesus Christ, Superstar. I wish they were doing that. 3 shows that I saw that were kind of unexpected to me were there are 2 productions of Tick Tick Boom, only 2 productions of Once on This Island.
Okay.
And 2 productions of Frog and Toad.
Interesting.
I would love your thoughts on all of this.
So I mean, and this is just MTI, right? Like, and
Yes.
I'll be honest, like, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, but I actually use like Concord more for like finding stuff because MTI is pretty much the big name. Like, if I'm looking for a show, there's a better chance that it's on MTI than it is necessarily on Concord. Even though Concord obviously owns a lot, it has Samuel French, Tams Whitmark, but MTI I feel like has like the big musicals, especially like a Shrek, like an Evil Dead, right? Like, which is kind of surprising actually, because
Right.
you know, people don't think of it as a big musical, but it's done almost every single year in multiple areas. So,
Thank God.
yes, exactly. Or else we would have never met.
Truly.
How big was your radius? Can I ask? Like, what was the radius that you looked at?
I started out. I did 3 radiuses and then just like did comparison. I started out at 50, and then I went to 30, and then I went to 10.
Okay.
And everything was relatively the same. Like not a lot really changed. I will say within my area alone, I was like, wow, everyone's doing Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone's doing Little Mermaid.
I will. So, and I've done rights retrieval for theaters before. So, like, one of the things obviously is if a theater is doing it within a certain radius, within like a month of one another, they usually limit that. But it's one of those things where, to me, right? So I'll start it this way: if I'm an artist and I wrote a show and 25 people want to do it in the same 5-mile radius, I don't care. That's kind of the goal, right? But from a theater perspective, like from a volunteer perspective or an auditioner or a director, whatever, to me, like, if I don't get into one, I have multiple opportunities, which is cool. But from an audience perspective, from just like a general theater goer perspective, because like I'm one of the worst theater people there are, like I don't know new shows. I know the weirdest, awkward things that nobody's ever heard of, which is why I'm on this episode. And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, cool, like Legally Blonde is fun, but is Legally Blonde fun 7 times in 3 years? And, you know, if I have friends that are in multiple ones, like, now I feel like I have to pick which one I want to go see, like which theater's going to put on the best production. You know, how many of my friends are in one? Like, you know, can I knock off like seeing 5 friends when there's only 1 or 2 in each other production? So those things become difficult, right? Like those are things difficult to manage, but that's from a viewer standpoint, right? And maybe you love Legally Blonde and you just want to go see it all the time, right? We saw people at Evil Dead who travel to see it, but that's a different type of show. Right, it's like a Rocky Horror, where the whole point is going to see these people just perform this silly, wacky show, and there's audience participation. There's another level to it. So it's not like just a normal show. So like, unless it's like your number one favorite show, am I going to go see the same show at a different theater? Probably not. But again, that could just be me. I'm a very awkward theater goer as is. So yeah.
Well, if you share any of those sentiments, put them down in the comments, and I want to see you and Sean fight.
Bring it on.
Yeah, honestly, I'm of the same way. I am also, I don't know if this has changed or if this is just an outdated rule, but there also was a rule. I don't know if it's specifically for MTI, but if you are within like a 10-mile radius, you cannot do the same show without being fined. And so it always baffles me when I see theaters doing the same show, and I'm like, so you really are just going to waste your budget money on a fine just so you have this, and it might be better than the other one? I don't really see the need for that speed.
So I think, and it depends on what the theater type is. Like, obviously, like high schools and colleges have a different rights style. It's why they can access things like Les Mis more frequently than, say, like a community or regional theater could.
Right.
But like community theaters have a little bit more leniency. Like there's certain shows that only go out to regional theaters to start, and then they hit the community space. And there's certain shows that go directly to community, and just regional theaters just don't touch them. But from a regional or from a community standpoint, usually it is like that 10-mile radius. But again, then there's a timeline. So like if somebody closes, February, tomorrow's the 27th, right? So if the closing weekend is March 1st, right? You can't open the following weekend, but you can open 2 weeks later. Like, because for the rights holders, for all them, it's about getting the money, right? So you're going to limit it so there's no overlap of performances, but you're not going to fully limit it because, again, if everybody in the area is trying to do the same show, you're going to just give it to them, right? Like, that's not your job to sell those tickets. Those people are paying rights based on what they expect to sell in ticket sales. So, from an MTI standpoint, have at it, just don't overlap so we don't lose out on ticket sales. But if you lose out on ticket sales because you're doing the same show as the theater 5 miles down the road and a month later, and you don't get the same people coming in to see your show, oh well, you still owe us the $14,000 for the rights and everything for the time doing the show.
So now this is the part of the show where I would have an ad break, but I don't know if I have one yet for this episode. So until then, we're just going to sit here and stare at the camera.
Cool.
I consider that cheating. Better.
I wish I had a snorkel. Time for the deep dive. Bloop, 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 bloop.
That's going to be the new transition now. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
No, I meant just the whole, but okay, that's fine.
Just in case that one didn't work, does this one work better?
And we are back here at Call Time a Theater Pod with Sean Patrick, and we're talking, smaller shows, lesser known shows, and why they deserve their time, and why theaters tend to consider them an underdog or don't really give them the chance that they need. That's a very long title that I will edit in post. But the first question I have for you is, not even a question, it's a statement. So for context, everybody out there, we met due to probably one of the greatest little shows of all time. And that's Evil Dead the Musical. And y'all have heard me talk about this show before because I talked about it on our season 1 finale with my friend Lydia, which you can find that video in the description box below. And, we we have always said that that was like the little show that could, because when you immediately pitch that, most of the time, depending on where, it's going to get a, huh? What? 1, that's a show? 2, no. And I, am I wrong?
No, that's pretty much accurate.
Yeah. And so why is it not even just Evil Dead? Because obviously we know when it comes to Evil Dead, it's a, spooky, scary time.
Christmas show, absolutely.
Spooky, scary Christmas show, absolutely. Why is it that you think that theaters tend to, be very quick in their decision, where if it's a show that they really probably haven't heard of, or just a smaller show in general that is just like, why do you think they immediately jump to a no?
So we'll take a step back before we just say like jumping to a no, right? Mm-hmm. When a theater's looking into shows, most proposal seasons, either people are looking into shows that are maybe popular or trending, whatever. But like when you have people like proposing like, hey, we should do this show, especially in the community space, usually there's a committee to read the shows. And I'm not going to say people don't do it, because I know some people who do, but if there's like 80 different submissions and you're trying to get something together within a month, that's a lot to read, even if you have like multiple people reading multiple shows. So I think what happens first is that some of those shows that aren't recognizable, or like if you read a synopsis, it doesn't grip you right away, maybe that's just not one maybe that's one you just don't read. That in and of itself already puts you behind in a proposal season. Now, if you keep proposing it, maybe eventually somebody's like, you know what, let me just pick it up and read it. It's been 3 times, whatever. But then once you get to the table and the decisions are being made, I think what tends to happen is a theater is looking at marketing and sales and, can we sell this show? Even if it's a passion project for somebody, which to me should be a selling point of the show from a theater perspective, because that means somebody's putting a lot of energy and time into it that is going to translate on the stage. And that's a whole nother episode somewhere of people who are passionate about a show and people who are doing a show because they like to just do theater. But I think there's that moment of like, okay, like, do we have, title A where everybody knows this show, right? Like if we just put this on a poster, people will show up. Or title B where we're going to have to push it a little bit on socials. We're going to have to maybe send out some postcards for the people that still do that. And I think what happens in those situations is we tend to go with option A because we think that's just a naturally better sales pitch. But I think it's also a little bit of that's less work for us to have to do, right? That's less money we have to invest. That's less time we have to invest here, where maybe technically we can invest that time elsewhere. So I think there's a lot of things that go into it, but I mean, it comes down to money more times than not.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's money is the root of all evil, Sean.
Yes.
But damn it, do we need it in order to make our freaking art? Do you think that theaters tend to underestimate their audiences in terms of what they want to see?
We've all said this before, right? And excuse me if you're an audience member and have never heard somebody say this. Audiences are not as dumb as you think they are. So sometimes you have to spoon feed certain things, right? Some subtext in shows can get lost, like, and for better or worse, maybe actors aren't getting the subtext, so that's not coming through. So then you have to do something else to push it out there to make it more obvious. Mm-hmm. But audiences understand good theater. Like, I always think about it like going to the movies and people are like, oh, like this movie's terrible. I'm like, oh, it was enjoyable. Like, is it going to win an Oscar? Probably not. But like, did I shut my brain off for an hour and a half, 2 hours and have a fun time? Yeah, I did. And I think that's what theater can be if we trust that, right? So like if you're putting the right shows on an audience member who doesn't know what to expect has a better chance to have a great time at your show than just going to see the eighth version of, and I'm not picking on Legally Blonde here, but like the eighth show of Legally Blonde that they've seen again over the past 3 years. And it's not that they won't have fun. It's not that they wouldn't come back and see it. But I think if you truly hit a show that nobody's heard of, and like for me as an artist, I'd rather have somebody say, I didn't know what to expect, and it was like one of the best shows I've ever seen, than somebody coming to see a show they've seen 100 times before. Like, that was really great. Like, it doesn't feel as genuine. It's just like, like, maybe I like somebody else's performance better or whatever. So like, I think this idea that the audiences only want to see brand name shows needs to start taking a little bit more of a backseat and be like, they'll see what you put on if you put on a good show. And I think that's one of the things that as a theater you want to try to push, of like, look how much fun we're all having with this show. Like, if it's the president of a theater or marketing director or whomever, like, hey, like I stopped into a rehearsal, like the energy was fantastic. Like, it was just fun sitting there watching them create their show. Like, you're going to love it when it's on stage. I think those types of things can really help push these like somewhat secondary or maybe unheard of shows to become more popular. Like something that somebody's going to come in and be like, that was really good. When's the next theater doing it? And then if they never do it, guess what? You're the theater that always did their new favorite show, and that's another feather in the cap.
Yes, absolutely. So I used to work with somebody who they said that one of their favorite kind of marketing focus group type things is that when the theater would announce their season, they would go around to different places that they knew would be talking about the season, and he tries to take note of who says in certain tones, they're doing that, or they're doing that. Yeah. And if it's more they're doing that, then even the subplot is they're doing that. Yeah. Seeing how not even just excitement levels, but if they seem more annoyed, then they're like, okay, how are we going to be able to gear this so they're actually excited to come to it? And they changed it to, they're doing that.
Yeah.
So I feel that there.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Like, I don't know many theaters that do like audience reach outs. Like, I think it could be very beneficial. And I've mentioned this in a couple boards or meetings I've been a part of. And it was, why don't we ask the audience things that they might like to see us perform? Because again, our audiences are not as stupid as you think, right? Like, people are very intelligent. They know what they like. And even if they don't come back with things that you like physically could do in the space or logistically because it's going on tour or like, there's rights issues, you at least get an idea for what they're looking for. So like, maybe we can't do, I'm trying to think of two shows that are relatively similar. But like, like if we can't do Sweeney Todd, like what's like another like dark style musical maybe that we could do, right? Or are we looking to do a classic musical like, we can't do Guys and Dolls because so-and-so is doing it down the street, or it's having like a revival tour for some reason. Let's do another classic age musical like in Anything Goes. So just like, what is the audience clamoring for, and see what we can do around that. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with a theater saying, here's a list of shows we would like to do. Who's passionate about directing these? Like, who can come to the table with a good plan? But also, what are you as director or production team or whomever interested in doing as well? Because then you can kind of balance out your season a little bit better with some of these things that the audience wants, and maybe there's a show that you didn't even think about that somebody proposed, and you're like, wait a second, that could be great. So yeah, I think there just needs to be a little bit more audience outreach.
I agree, and it's also really interesting too because, God, I was once witness to an argument about how only legitimate theaters do like legitimate theater, you know. And as someone who is both a theater snob and a clown, I was like,
I concur.
You heard it here. You heard it here. Legitimate theater. These people are talking about, well, theaters, if they're going to do something, you know, to bring in audiences, they should be doing more of like grand classics. There should be, you know, not even just thinking like Guys and Dolls, but like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Or like a lot. I don't want to even just say Golden Age musicals. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but I'm saying like the huge marketable shows that will always guarantee tickets, and then you go and it's all the same elderly people that are sitting in the way back. Thank you to all those people who do that. Thank you for coming to see shows.
Especially ones you have no actual desire, but you got your season tickets and you're like,
yeah,
that was fun.
I'll go.
I'm just glad that you showed up.
Yes, like actually genuinely thank you for that. But we also deserve better than just, you know, the expected.
Yes.
You know, especially if theater is supposed to be an educational experience and you learn something, you should be able to expand your horizons. And see, I don't know. I mean, listen, I would love an unexpected audience to sit, not even just at Evil Dead, but like, I don't know, Be More Chill. If you know any productions of Be More Chill that are happening.
If there's one, I'll let you know.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine a theater locally doing Be More Chill on March 13th to the 21st in the Swarthmore Media area?
That would be such a good idea. Shame that's not happening. I'll be there. And if you're not there, I'll be very upset. Audience. Just saying. If you want to have a meet and greet.
You couldn't even...
Cut that.
No, keep that in. We're going to do a meet and greet outside in the lobby of...
I'll be there opening night, so...
Actually, wouldn't that be fun? Your next actual podcast when I'm your guest again in a couple weeks, we just do it live from the theater. Listen,
manifestations. I'm for it. I'm for it. So, all that being said, do you feel that artistic directors, theater companies in general, they feel a pressure and a need to prove legitimacy through the shows that they choose?
I think so. I mean, it's a tough position, right? Because you're trying to balance out so much. Like, you have a board, you have different committees, you have, if you're in the volunteer space, you have your volunteers. So, like, there's a lot of different people you sort of have to make happy when you're an artistic director. But still, at the end of the day, if you're an AD at one of these theaters, if you're not bringing in the money, you're not making the right decisions, right? Like, that's what the board's going to see, and that's what's going to eventually lead to your dismissal. But I think there's a very real conversation that needs to be had from a professional space and a community space. From a professional space, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to just go for the wacky shows, I think, because of that part of the job, right? Like, you can always hire actors to come in and do stuff. So, like, finding the participants for it is not that difficult, right? There will always be people that come out and audition. You know, everybody's looking for their big break to put something on their resume and say they did something at XYZ professional theater. But in the community space, because it's like all volunteer, I think there needs to be an opportunity for some of these lesser known shows because you're run by the volunteers. At the end of the day, if you're not doing shows that people want to be in, they can go choose other theaters to go do stuff in. And because there's no money involved, right? Like, I'm not going to Theater A because it pays me more than Theater B. I'm going to Theater A because Theater A has the shows and the environment I want to work in. Like, maybe another theater pops up and it's Theater C. Like, say there's 5 in an area, right? Maybe Theater D is the one who's just taking the risks because they have the same people that show up to every shows. Now, they don't sell out their shows, but because they know what they can do, what they can't do, they're willing to take a little bit more risk because the same people are showing up. They're getting the same ticket sales, whether they do large, big musical or play that nobody's ever heard of that sounds fun, right? So I think it's tough from an AD perspective to then say, where do we fit that in? But I think if you're good at what you do, you have the opportunity to sit there and say, okay, we do, 9 shows in a season. If we're going to do one of these shows or even 2 of these shows, like maybe it's a musical and a play, but like if we're going to do 2 of these shows that are lesser known or we're going to have to put more marketing effort in, then we really have to hit with our other shows. But then you can also then there's so many big musicals or big plays that people know, that people want to audition for, that people will, you can plaster it on a poster and send it out there and it basically sells itself, that you can make up for it if you really wanted to. And a lot of times, a lot of these smaller things cost less too. So from a cost perspective, you can actually save some money by maybe looking into, now not all of them, some newer ones still cost a lot because it's brand new in the space and the rights holders want to make sure that they're getting their due. But after a couple years, if nobody's really buying it, they just want it done. They just want to get money off of it. So I think it's just something that theater ADs or just, theater groups in general should start looking at a little bit more. And again, maybe this comes into the audience reach out portion again of, hey, like, here's some things that we think are interesting and like, what are you interested in? Because maybe somebody who did go see an off-Broadway production of, the Little Hat That Could. It's not a real show. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Coming this fall.
Yeah, it's the next one I'm writing. It's not, but now it might be. But it might be like something where it's like, oh, I thought this was really funny and I thought it'd be really cool for your stage. And who knows? Like, maybe it doesn't happen for 5 years, but maybe somebody picks up the script and is like, oh my, this is like a diamond in the rough. Let's do it. It's like got 15 people. That's a lot of people to sell tickets, and it's a good comedy or it's a good drama, whatever it is. Maybe it's relevant for the time, right? A lot of times I remember, was it last 2 years ago? At this point, I think it is, like, POTUS was a big show that a lot of theaters were considering doing. And I think only one theater in the area got it, but it's like, sometimes it's okay to do this lesser known show when it fits into a timeline that could help market, right? So I think you just have to be open to those kinds of things.
Yeah, and I've always been of the mindset where, like, demographic alienation is inevitable.
Yeah.
It's going to happen no matter what because, again, there are the theater snobs and there are the clowns.
And there's
Where do you fall? And then there's me. But it's one of those things where I often wonder if when choosing a season that there is a louder fear of empty seats than artistic stagnation.
I think so. And
yeah.
Which is crazy to me, right? Because I've been a part of those shows that you're like, this should sell, right? And then you go and you have one sold out show or one close to sold out show, and the rest you're like barely pushing half on most nights, and you're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, and it's tough. It's really tough to balance out your theater season. And when you have seasons like that, then the next season you're pushing even more to get more people in. So you're doing more and more of the well-known stuff. And then if that continues to not sell, right now you're in this loop of like, we have to push more. But I think what then happens is that people are just like tired, like they're looking for something. They want something new. They want to come out and see something that hasn't been done before. So at some point you just have to say, well, like, nothing else seems to be working. Let's just try it, right? The worst that could happen is the same thing that's already happening. Lesser known shows shouldn't be relegated to that. But if that's how they get in the door, then so be it. Like, just go do it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this, just because, I'm on social media. You can follow the social media pages of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff, right, in the description box below. But one of the top things that I see now is, of course, theater companies using social media to their advantage. All the TikToks I have seen of, casts doing memes and behind the scenes stuff of the show. I think obviously that's one of the top marketing points any theater can do now. But now I'm wondering where the dynamic is. Because if you're only depending on the marketing that is done specifically by your cast, usually on their own time, it doesn't exactly scream, I care about this show, and I care that you come see this, because look at all these people making all these silly little videos. Mm-hmm. Do you think that, obviously marketing is huge, but do you think that it's becoming a little too dependent on that?
Yeah, and for it's funny because we've talked about this a lot recently with Be More Chill, March 13th to the 21st at Players Club Swarthmore. But like there's a number that's called the smartphone hour for those who are familiar with the show, and for those who aren't, very much like the telephone hour, not to Bye Bye Birdie, but they all have their cell phones out, and people were already talking like, oh, can like we record live like during tech or during show? And I was like, yeah, why not? Like push it, do something different. Like, and if we have like multiple videos from multiple dancing angles, it is what it is. But that's not enough, right? Like, and I think I way back when I went to school for marketing, and then I did nothing with that degree, go college. The things about marketing that I always enjoyed was the fact that there's like A/B marketing, where for those the uninitiated, basically you send out two different campaigns and look to see what the most feedback is. And again, I don't think we do enough of the follow-up after things. Like, I don't know that anybody's checking, like this is trending on TikTok, or we boosted this post on Facebook. What kind of reactions did we get? How many people clicked the link? Almost every theater still does email marketing, which I think you should do. It's cheap. It's it's effective. Like, it at least gets it out there. But what kind of numbers are we getting back from that? How many ticket link clicks are we getting? And I think that, like most things, and especially in a volunteer organization, it's who's going to do it, right? Like, I think everybody knows they sort of need to, but it's who's going to put that on their plate and then come up with the report, or go into the next A/B marketing style. Like, hey, email marketing worked for this show. Social media was like Instagram posts worked better for this show. What's the difference? Like, this is like an older play that people notice. So like people that came to see the show probably came because of the email. The younger generation saw this Instagram post, and that's who was buying the tickets. And it's not always going to be in a single year, because you're basing it off of like one show, which isn't the same as, say, a single marketing campaign. Like, that's essentially what each show is. It's like, here's a bunch of different things for this type of show, reaching different types of audiences. So like, what's working for one show might not work for another. So you have to collect a lot of data. And when it comes to marketing in that space, you just kind of do a shotgun effect for every show and just hope for the best. But it can't just rely on one or the other. Like, I'm a big proponent of, if you are a theater, if you're part of a theater, and I'm not talking about individual productions, I'm talking about like if your home theater is where you always do your productions, or you're on like a committee or the board or things like that. Every single show that goes on in your theater, whether you like it or not, you have to be behind. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Like, you need to be telling people, again, like, hey, like, you should come see this show. And is everybody going to come see every single show in a 9-show season? Unless they have a season ticket pass, probably not.
Right.
But at least some people will. One seat's better than no seat sold. So I just think there's got to be different things you can do, and you got to start to look to tie in different marketing things. Again, for those who don't know about Be More Chill, Mountain Dew is part of it. And so for our concessions, we're getting some Mountain Dew to sell during the show. It's silly and dumb, but it's different.
It's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, if I go to a theater and I'm drinking a Mountain Dew, and then the show's like, hey, like, Mountain Dew is important for this reason, not to give anything away. But, and then it's like, oh my God, Mountain Dew, I see what they did there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the littlest, stupidest things that can get people talking about your show. And a lot of it comes from lip service, but if you don't give them that good product when they get there, if you don't do these things a little bit differently, they're just not going to talk about it, at least not in a good way.
I worked for marketing for a specific spooky Halloween brand. One of my favorite things to do at the end of a week was look at the result of the A/B testing and be like, okay, what worked and what didn't? And then when something didn't work, I was always like, oh, that's surprising. How can we make this work next time? And I feel like there are just so many opportunities depending on what show you have. You know, basically reiterating what you said, there are just so many opportunities to use everything to your advantage. I feel like there is just such a high level of doubt, and that they're more scared of crickets.
Yeah.
And
but if you're afraid of crickets, then you need to market better.
Yeah.
Right? You need to embrace, and that's the embracing of your shows. Like, you either need to get on board or move along, because this is not a show that you just throw on stage and are just like, no, you need to back a show like that, or it's just not going to work.
So it's really interesting, because I thinking about all of this, I feel like there's just an overwhelming bias, or just an overwhelming feeling from theaters in general, that they always have to do, I mean, not even just the musicals, but let's talk about plays. Because plays are never taken seriously enough in community theaters, to me personally. I don't know if you agree with that, but especially when it comes to choosing a play, because they're like, well, no one wants to see plays. Disagree highly. I think some people, in the words of my best friend, whose name is also Sean.
I'm your best friend?
So in the words of my best friend Sean...
What did I say? Tell me. This is bullshit. You know what? This was a trap, and I don't... never again. Never again.
No, Sean, wait.
Fuck you.
Wait. Oh, no, wait. Wait.
Nope. See it.
Wait.
See it.
Wait. Oh, God.
Will Sean return to finish the podcast? Can Marisa have two best friends named Sean? Is this the end of the dynamic duo? Answers Wednesday. Same pod time, same pod channel.
This podcast was made possible through the support of viewers like you. Thank you.